Radcliffe Brown really didn't form anything. There was already, since 1914, at Oxford, what was called a Department of Social Anthropology. That was established at the instance of Rector Marriott, and that was what was in existence when Radcliffe Brown came. And he came with enormous ambition to found an honor school in social anthropology. He is tremendously, scientifically keen on the new form of comparative sociology. He was contemptuous of museum people, and apparently people like Darfur and extremely nice and hard-working men over at the Pitt Rivers Museum were very much put out to be, as it were, deliberately shunned on quasi-intellectual grounds because they weren't true scientists of the kind that Radcliffe Brown took social anthropology to be. Anyway, when he came, there wasn't very much. There was this tiny hut, this little shack that we were in, the title, Department of Social Anthropology, and his chief effect was to have the title changed to Institute on a number of grounds. Firstly, I think because he imagined it sounded rather grander than department, and in fact it makes it sound only the more suspect and peripheral. And I wanted to draw up a list of institutions in London which called themselves institutes, and they were institutes of psychotherapy, institutes of beauty care, institutes of traffic regulations, things of this kind. And so we simply dropped ourselves into that rather disrespectful company by changing the subject.
Well, did changing the name change the status of the place, or was it simply a name change?
It didn't change the status because it had no statutory status, and it hasn't had really until a couple of years ago, when at least I procured some sort of statutory change. Anyway, when he came I think in 1936 or 7 I think it was. But then shortly afterwards the war began. I think he appointed Meyer Fortis to a position there. Franz Steiner came later, and I think there are only 3 or 4 students, including Bill Newell, who is now at Sydney, and Henricus, who I think is now back in the West Indies. And anyway, the war came. It was obviously coming very quickly. And when the war came, for some reason, Radcliffe Brown left Oxford from Britain and went away to Sao Paulo to represent British intellectual interests. And he stayed there until the war ended. By the time the war was over and he was back, the tenure of his chair was almost up. And he was almost about to be elected into it. And so it's hard to see really that Radcliffe Brown had any effect on social anthropology in Oxford.